Alright, I decided to start filming some of the random shit that I do in the shop. So, this is technically bench steps, hard pine bench steps, purchased by my wife because she thought it would be a cool stool to have in our guest bathroom for, you know, kids and stuff that need some elevation to wash their hands. So it, you know, it's a little bit rough. It's seen some days, and here we go. I just cleaned it with some cleaner, and that actually was a rather remarkable improvement. Still, you know, a bit scratched up in use. I think our goal is to have it looking a little antique-y. But the guy that sold it at the thrift shop said that it just needs a coat of wax, which I assume meant paste wax, which I'm familiar with. So I'm gonna give that a go and see if it looks even nicer when I'm done. The alternative is like stripping the whole thing, and it's got some stain on it, I'm pretty sure, restaining and doing all that jazz, and that's just a lot of work for all these little bits, baubles, and bits and pieces, and also a giant pain in the ass. So don't really want to do that. So what I like to use for these are microfiber towels, and the reason for that is that a good microfiber towel doesn't leave any bits and pieces. I used to cut up my old t-shirts and do that kind of stuff, and you just get little fuzzies everywhere and stuff. So I use these microfiber towels. I got a 4-pack of these for free from Harbor Freight. They were doing their, come in and here's a coupon for some free shit. So I landed a pack of these. So they're cheap enough that I feel okay throw them out afterward. I don't really want to wash stuff like this out of it and use it again, but I think these are pretty nice. I'm very frugal, so I used to cut them and then use the little pieces. That's a bad idea because when you cut them, then it frays and then you get little bits and stuff stuck to all your work. So you don't want to do that either. I'm just going to use this and then fold it. I'll use one side to apply and another side to polish and that sort of thing. So this is paste wax. The instructions say you just get it on there and wipe it on. I'm going to probably reread them just so I make sure I do it right. The other way is to take chunks of it and put it in a cheesecloth, and that supposedly gives the perfect amount. I've never tried that. Sounds like fun. But I just wipe it on and then buff it off. And it takes some elbow grease because you're actually getting enough friction going to kind of melt it a little bit and get it warm. So it takes some work after you put it on to do the buffing process, but it comes out looking pretty nice. It's not a super strong finish in terms of protection, but it does look nice, and it looks good on stuff like this. It's meant to be a little more like antique and old looking. You're not going for a glistening mirror shine or anything like that with it. What I'm noticing already that's kind of neat is that I have never really used paste wax on an old piece. I've only used it on like pieces that I made, and it actually does a pretty good job of covering up some of these surface scratches, especially the ones that are lighter in color, from just like scratching the surface of whatever finish is on this. I guess it kind of fills them in and covers them up. It's actually pretty cool. I've never used it for this purpose, and it actually looks pretty good. I can see why that's what the guy that was selling it recommended to do. Oh, it just needs a coat of wax. And that dude was right. I think this piece was made by someone like me, so someone with a moderate, at best, amount of woodworking skill. it's not a professional piece. You could see some cracks and some areas where it was like, I'm just going to shove another nail in here. So I think that adds to its charm, though. That's one of the things I kind of like about it. Of course, then there's a part of me that's like, I should have just made this myself. But that part of me is always talking, and you got to choose your battles. Somebody else already made it, and it's looking pretty good. And hey, tribute to them, I'm going to give this thing a second life. It ended up in a thrift shop for some reason, or a furniture shop, you know, like more of an antique shop. Around here, antique shop isn't the same thing. I went to antique shops in New Orleans and I laughed myself out of the store with the prices on furniture and stuff. They're looking for, you know, high value showpieces. When people like me go antiquing, we're looking for cheap stuff that someone got rid of that I can clean up, make up, paint sometimes. I'm even okay with that. Huh. Videotaping now. I'm gonna be a YouTube star. Yeah. Oh, yeah, got it. No, I got this. What? Here you go, you can kind of see the surface scratches, a little beat up and dinged up. Nails protruding a bit. I could probably set those, but I can't tell if they have a putty on top, and I don't want to mess that up and make them even more noticeable. So it's a little rough. I haven't done the tops yet. I usually save the biggest like showpiece parts for that. So let's see what happens. Alright, at this point, I'm starting to feel like paste wax might be somewhat magical. Yeah, I've laid it on here pretty thick, not just verbally, because I want these little specks to get filled in and cleaned up, but that's pretty impressive. I mean, there's scratches all over this thing, right? But they are much less noticeable when you put the paste wax on. If you remember, especially right in this area, there was a bunch of little scratches. You can still kind of see them there. Like that's not coming off, or getting filled at least. But it certainly does clean it up a little bit, especially on this top part, which is, you know, what you see when you come and look at it. Even that big spot that was real noticeable a second ago, it's pretty much dulled to a great degree. Casual observer will not notice it too strongly. Alright, see this? We'll do this one too. I haven't done this yet. There you go. quite the improvement, I'd say. It really kind of brings it back to life a little bit. Covers up all the little bit of the wear and tear. You never get dents out, of course. But you certainly take care of some of the scratches. You gotta get right up in there to really see them well. Now at this point, so they just disappear from further away, and you could see that from a good ways away earlier. There we go. 10 to 15 minutes to dry, and then I'll come back and buff the crap out of this thing. Alright, time for some polishing. You dried for probably about 20 minutes. I've turned the light on in here, so no prior references are really valuable. I folded my cloth around so I've got a clean surface. And this is just by feel. You rub it and then it feels, at first it feels like you're rubbing on a matte finish. This is a matte finish. That's my name. And then after you rub it for a little bit, you no longer feel the resistance, like it glides more smoothly. That's how I kind of know I'm done. And it really, you've got to do a little bit of effort, but it's not that bad. And then you also see here in this light, see it start to develop a little bit of a shine. And you can really go ham on that and really try to shine it well. You could use an electric buffer and stuff like that, but I find these microfiber cloths just work really well. And I try to stay with the grain until I get on the angles here and have to go up. And you can see, especially right there, got a lot more shine on it than it did before. So see how dull this part is? And you can see the shine that it developed just from that. And that's all you have to do. Keep it up for the rest of the thing. And then you've added your coat of paste wax, which, you know, for old furniture like this, you don't mind having that character to the switches and scratches. I'll tell you what, rehabs it pretty nicely. No one's going to see the underneath. surface. And add the final touch. You know, when your house is full of hardwood floors, you need to felt pad everything, and don't cheap out on those. Seriously, like after buying cheap felt pads, I really go with Scotch with the 3M stickers. It's just way better than most things you can get. And I did not polish the bottoms of these, knowing that I was going to put some felt pads on. Got to protect those floors. So I don't think this whole paste wax thing would work for the little scratches on my hardwood floors, especially because we have a matte finish. Well, not a matte finish, but not the full-on shiny finish. And I think paste wax would actually be too shiny. And there we go. Putting up time. One last little wipe. And then I'm just going to let this go for probably at least 24 hours before I move it into the house, because I want to make sure all the off-gassing and the smell goes away and all that kind of stuff, because you don't really want that floating around your house. But not a bad finished product. Looking pretty good. Especially with this heart pine, you can't just go out and buy that as easily as you used to be. Especially where I live, I'm basically limited to what I can get from Lowe's and whatnot in terms of wood. So, nice to have something that's that nice looking. How close together those growth rings are, and that's in pine. Good luck finding that at the store. Well, thanks for hanging out with me for that project.